I'm sitting inside a ticker. It was a lose-lose situation. Either I stay and go up in flames, or I get in my car and drive praying that my car does not blow with me inside. But before I can finish my prayer, that's when I hear it, an explosion. It was dry. It had always been dry out there, but this was different. You could start by hanging your clothes, and by the time you got to the end of the line, the first piece would be dry already. At least, that's what would happen if we had enough water. We'd never gone without rain for this long before. There was something of a drought that was either coming or had arrived. But between me and Ollie, my 18-month pup, we didn't really need much water anyway. Yeah, it was hot, but we were doing just fine. If only we knew it was about to get a whole lot hotter. A heat wave was on its way from Central Australia. That's what we heard. High winds bringing even higher temperatures from the desert. We figured a fire was coming. How could it not? We've had fires most years, and they're generally within control. It's just a part of living here. But now, a drought, the heat, and high winds together, and at these levels. It sounded like a bad joke we'd never heard of. Even then, there are rules you must follow, rules you pick up when you've lived out here for as long as I have. First, you clear leaves, dry branches, anything flammable. You get them as far away from your home as possible. Second, you water your house. You keep it from overheating, keep it from catching fire. It won't save your home, but it'll buy you something far more valuable: time. Third, you prepare a fire kit, a radio, a torch, first aid, valuables, water. Throw it all in there, ready in case of emergency. Even though everyone in the community has one, you hope you never have to use it. I go through the first 2 steps every day before I let myself rest. I thought today would be different. I woke up in the morning never knowing it would be the last time I ever did in that house. I was up early, woken up by the terrifying howl of the wind. I was drenched in sweat. Ollie was barking. She knew something was wrong. Outside, the skies were hazy with dust and smoke. I could smell smoke. I rushed back inside with Ollie. It wasn't supposed to be here yet. As I grab my first aid and Ollie's leash, I turn on the TV and watch in horror as towns and communities become engulfed. I was smelling smoke from another state. Remote in one hand, telephone in the other. I call friends, family, loved ones. I remember thinking, was I already too late? No one's picking up. I flip through the channels and stop on a map full of red dots, each one another fire. Each marker crawling closer toward me. Suddenly, the phone goes flat, the TV switches off. I had lost power. I later learned that a power line had come down, knocked down by the wind, sparks everywhere, straight into the bush. In that moment, as my home lost electricity, I knew. Out here, that could only mean one thing: fire. I had everything I needed to leave. I should have left. I was prepared, I always thought. When the day came, I would not hesitate to leave this house, not looking back, because that's the sensible thing to do. But in the moment, I couldn't. I froze. This wasn't just my house. It was my home. You think it's an easy decision. Save yourself, rebuild. It's not. Because somewhere deep inside, you think there's a chance God will spare your home, spare you. It's the biggest gamble, but you think it might be worth it. This is the thought process many of us here go through. You either fight for your history or you fight for your future. I am one of the lucky ones. I had Ollie. She snapped me out of it. She didn't deserve to be stuck here, awaiting her fate because I was too sentimental to leave. I remember picking Ollie up, carrying her out toward the car, and nearly dropping her because of what I saw next. Nothing but dust and smoke. The skies were completely crimson now. The smell of smoke, the heat intensifying every single second. I remember shielding Ollie from the wind as I fought to get to my car. This was wind that can knock over cars, trees, and houses. It was wind straight from the desert, wind that had just started one of the worst bushfires in history. When I finally reached my car, I put the pup in the back and realized, which way do you go when you can barely keep your eyes open? And that's when I saw it. In the distance, through the dark haze, the raging fire coming towards me. Not that way. Cars can and will explode. Driving in a furnace like this, the tires will melt, their engines will overheat, and their fuel will ignite. And sitting in a car now, speeding along a road I can barely see, I prayed that we wouldn't end up like that, or run over some poor soul too stupid to leave when he got the chance. Someone like me. But really, what use is praying in this godforsaken situation? I was sweating from the heat and from fear. I was scared that this car was going to blow, scared that I was going to take a wrong turn and end up crashing and burning. It was 48 degrees Celsius before the fire started. Imagine how hot it was now. Then, out of nowhere, I hear an explosion. I hit the brakes, grab Ollie, and jump out of the car. We run to take cover behind a tree, and then suddenly, I hear another explosion, and another one, and then another. It wasn't my car. It was power lines, trees, homes, exploding. I wish I was exaggerating. It was close. Now we're running away from the tree and back to the car, from one ticker to another. Just as I'm about to close the door, I hear a shriek. At first I think this is someone in danger, someone who needs help. I take a step out, but it very quickly turns into this roaring screech like some primal beast. Ollie started barking back, and that's when I took a small step back and realized it was the sound of the enraged fire. We had to go, now. I step on the gas and we drive for what feels like forever. All there is dust and smoke. The skies don't change. You have no idea if you're driving in circles or worse, back toward the fire. In most fires, victims suffocate on the smoke, the fumes. Not here. This was different. People, animals, they were being burned alive. Oftentimes, you feel it before you even see it. The heat will meet your skin before the fire ever meets your eyes. That's the scary part. Before you know it, it's already too late. You can't win in a fight against nature, but still, many fought. Firefighters, bless them, risked theirs to give us a chance to survive, to live. We drive until the skies turned from orange to black. Nightfall. We stop at this campsite. We have been driving for nearly 12 hours. Gas was low, and hope even lower. At this point, I'm fairly confident we're out of reach of the fires. But you never know, so you don't sleep. You can't sleep. Your body is exhausted, but your mind won't let you sleep. It knows that at any moment, anything and everything can go up in flames. So you stay up and watch as the hills light up all throughout the night. You watch because there is nothing you can do. I do this for 3 days as I slowly run out of food, water, and energy. Until finally, on the fourth day, we reach a brushfire shelter. Hundreds of people are there. Hundreds of people just like me. Doctors go around making sure the injured are treated. Volunteers give out food, water, blankets. Just enough to keep us going, maintain what little hope we have left. I remember I couldn't sleep that night. Tired as I was, I just couldn't close my eyes and accept this is what my life had come to. I remember hearing muffled cries in the dark. I remember catching distressed prayers. I remember listening to the frantic transmissions from emergency services and victims. For weeks, this is how we all lived, as the fires spiraled out of control and smoke continued to swell in the distance. It wasn't until a month later they first stated that the fires seemed to finally be contained. And that's when they tell you that your loved ones probably didn't make it and your home is lost. But you have no time to process it, no time to say goodbye, no time to grieve until the dust settles. And it hits you all at once. You don't eat, you can't sleep, you're afraid, you're in pain. A life you've known for 20, 30, 40 years has just burned up. You are forced to start over. Anyone will tell you there is everything before the fire, and there is everything after. I did eventually go back to where my house once stood. I could hardly recognize any of it, where I had lived for 30 years. Or maybe I simply didn't want to believe it, that this was all I had left. It's heartbreaking. Your home, family, friends, pets, communities, all gone, and nothing to remember them by. You think that would be enough? One life-changing event where hundreds of people lost their lives and thousands had to fight for theirs. But even now, right now, we're reeling from last year's fires that have consumed entire livelihoods, entire species. They call it a natural disaster, one of the worst. But there is nothing natural about what happened or what is happening. Even looking past for a second, those who deliberately started fires, this is a consequence of the climate crisis, of man-made climate change. It isn't just melting ice caps and sinking cities. It isn't just the bleached Great Barrier Reef or the Amazon burning. It's a country on fire, year after year after year. I said earlier, there is nothing you can do in the face of these fires. But there is. Change starts and ends with you. Better late than never. From February 7th to March 14th, 2009, the Black Saturday bushfires destroyed 2,000 homes, claimed the lives of 173 people, and over 1 million animals. It was one of the worst bushfire disasters in Australian history. As a result of climate change, the frequency and severity of bushfires have increased in recent years. Notably, the Black Summer fires that began in September 2019 have only recently been fully extinguished after scorching the country for 6 months. Yet, the worst may have yet to come.